Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 315 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show describes himself as a full-time geek. He's an experienced software development manager and architect with a background in web development and big data architectures. He also writes technical articles and is a published author, his latest book being Codes Well with Others, which is being published by Manning. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Fernando Doglio.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for having me. Quite excited to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, obviously, that's a very brief introduction about you and your background. So maybe you can give us a bit of an understanding of what you're currently working on.
All right. Well, essentially, I'm currently a data engineer manager for a big consulting company. So I'm currently leading several big data projects, and at the same time, I'm also helping develop the whole data engineering practice within the group I'm in. So that's more or less the main tasks. I'm playing around a lot with cloud cloud computing and a big data platform called Palantir,
Right.
which
Yep.
takes care of everything, data related from ingest to the whole visualization. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah. So do you think, or do you consider data to be your biggest area of interest? I know you've obviously got a background in web development, but is data the thing that you're focusing on now?
That's an interesting question. Definitely, I think data is crucial to everything,
Yep.
and so I guess that would be, yes, the focus, but by itself you can't really do anything with it. So I take my whole background as well whenever I do anything with data. I take it with me because you end up eventually you need to have an understanding of how to present that data essentially to the user, whether it's on a chart or plotting visualizations or through some kind of interaction. So I'm lucky enough to have the whole background in the whole process, from starting with the data and analyzing that data, processing, ingesting it, turning it into something actionable and useful, and then building something around it. So everything, I think it's important, and it's really relevant. But yeah, data probably is the focus or the core of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We talk a lot about software development and coding and so forth on this particular podcast, but of course, data sits behind everything. So
Yeah.
it's something probably we ought to talk about more. But it's good to hear what you're doing. Good. Okay. So Fernando, can you maybe give us a career tip, one that the audience may not be aware of?
Right. So the probably the biggest tip I give to anyone, especially anyone just getting started as a developer, is not technical, not focusing on one particular technology or anything, but rather learning to learn. That's the main thing that you're going to be doing throughout your career. Essentially, you're going to be picking up new technologies, you're going to be picking up new frameworks, new paradigms, everything. So as long as you keep growing throughout your career, you're going to be learning, or rather, learning is the core to any professional progress that you can think of. So the better you are at it, the faster you get at it, the faster you grow. At least that's the way I see it. I'm always trying to essentially, if I'm not learning something new at my job, I'm getting bored. when
Yes.
when things get repetitive, when you know everything that you're doing and how to do it, then yeah, a machine can probably do it for you. So I tend to recommend that. I tend to ask everyone to focus on the learning process, essentially.
Right. Okay. So what do you do yourself in terms of learning? Is it books, videos, conferences, online courses? What do you prefer?
Articles. I articles and so when I have to pick up something very specific or how to do something, that's articles, because especially because I can quickly skim through what I'm looking for, focus on that, and sometimes even copy and paste an example and then play around with it. So that there is nothing more practical than that to me. If I'm just trying to figure out something general about a topic, then YouTube is my main go-to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. Fernando, can you share with us your worst career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yes, I can. It's actually a funny story. I I had it happened on my very first day, on my very first show. Essentially, my start as a developer was my most terrible career moment. Uh, Now if you think about it, it's not that big. But what I did is I accidentally deleted the homepage of a client's
Right.
website on
Yeah.
production, clearly. So for a few minutes, that company had no homepage to the world, and it's silly how it happened. You remember like Facila, or products like that, where you had the FTP and you manually drag and drop things.
Yep.
uh, so I was working with this, it was like 10, no, not 10, like 18, probably 17, 18 years ago. I had this huge mechanical keyboard. You remember how the enter key was really close to the delete key, on the six, right?
Yes.
So I just, uploaded the homepage, the new version of the homepage, and the pop-up came to request if I wanted to override it. I guess I click the wrong thing. No, don't click. I wanted to click enter, and I clicked delete, and it deleted the thing from the FTP. So and my local copy as well. So I deleted everything. I had no way to solve it myself, which caused a little bit of panic. As you can see, as you can imagine, on my first day, I didn't know what to do. Lucky for me, the manager had like a local copy of it, so we were able to replace it quite
Right.
fast. But still, to me, it felt like the worst moment ever.
Yeah. I suppose it's
Um,
that moment of realization that something's gone wrong.
yes, yeah. Well, yeah, your brain start freezing and you don't know what to do, and you start
Yeah.
seeing black all around you. Yeah, I went full tunnel vision there.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of what you've learned from that, is there anything you've taken away from that experience and you do
Backups are
differently?
important, yes.
Yeah.
I took that one for me, but also, I mean, I also uh, learned to take it easy, and kind of laugh at myself, and that part was because of what happened afterwards. I mean, clearly I did that. I talked to my manager, and we solved that problem. A few minutes
Yeah.
later, the whole company knew about it. By lunchtime, and by the time I got back to my seat, the delete key was removed from my keyboard. It was sticked to my tower,
Yeah.
with a sign underneath it, saying use only, like, when absolutely needed, something like that.
Yeah.
It was funny by then. I had
Yeah.
already gone through the whole panic experience, but it kind of got me to realize that you have to take it a bit easier. Everything has a solution, and even though you're new, and you might screw up, there's always a solution to it.
Yeah. So backups are important, but when it happens, don't panic. Keep calm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Okay, that's a good story. So, okay, so maybe something a little bit more positive. Can you tell us about your career highlight?
Right. Uh, uh, Essentially, I think that my highlight is right now. I've never I switched companies a while ago, a few months ago. I've been working for the same company for about 5, 6 years, and I had hit kind of a roadblock regarding my progress, my professional progress, and sometimes when you can't really grow inside the company, you just have to grow outside, and so that's what I did. I changed company. I found an opportunity. It took me a year, but I eventually found an opportunity that allowed me to do what I wanted to do for several years now, which is, I had been leading a single project for a few years, and a single team, and I wanted to start looking at an account. I start looking at trying to also use my experience to help set standards, and try to lead the way we work, not just how one project moves forward. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm really happy about where I am right now. And everything is new right now. It's because, like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm learning. Like, yeah, and like I said before, if I'm learning, I'm happy. So, highlight is right now.
Right. Okay. Good. That's good to hear. In terms of the industry and careers in IT and tech, what excites you about the future?
Yes, two main things. I mean, definitely, more than about the future, about essentially the IT career in general. I mean, definitely applies to the future as well, but that it's ever changing. I mean, uh, we've all seen it. There is every year we have new frameworks or new technologies or new ways of working, and it's constantly adapting to whatever happens in the world. I mean, right now, look at COVID and how that had essentially a huge effect on remote work, and that translates to a lot of more freelancing opportunities, which is also something that excites me about the possibility that the IT industry has to change somebody's life so much. It didn't happen to me. I did the whole, university and then studying junior roles and everything. But uh, so every day you hear more and more how so many people, from different backgrounds decide to pick up coding and do something else, rather than working at what they're doing right now. And then a year later they have this amazing life, and they've done a 180, and then they're so much happy, and they're growing. And so the amount of growth that you can have on this industry, because everything is at your reach. You can know or learn everything there is to know, and you can work from your house. You don't have to leave for anything. It's that reach and that potential is incredible for me.
Yeah, it is absolutely right. So I've had a number of people on the podcast as guests who, yeah, have come in from all sorts of different backgrounds, in particular, people who are interested in coding. And as you say, there's so many resources available to get you started.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Two things. I'm so essentially I'm from 83, 1983, and I got my first computer by the time I was 14 years old. So it's not like I grew up with computers or anything. I mean, I did after that, but no, when I was really young. But still, looking around, video games, TV, or even newspaper, you could see the influence computers had on everything, and that to me was mind blowing. I knew I had to work with computers, even before I knew that coding was a thing. It was like I have to be there. I have to, figure that out. That was the thing for me. And then eventually, once I got the computer and started having like a very limited, very slow internet connection, um, I suddenly decided, well, I want to be a hacker. So I started, yeah, like everyone does, so I started learning about it, reading about it, and that meant I had to learn how to code. I started picking up code, got my first job, forgot about being a hacker completely, but stayed with coding. So essentially, that was my introduction into the industry. I learned to code essentially HTML, CSS, and then PHP, things like that.
Good. Okay. And what is the best career advice you've ever received?
The best career advice I ever received was leave your problems at the door. It's silly, simple, but it changed. I mean, when I heard it, it changed my mind. I was pretty young, and it wasn't my first job, I think, but it made total sense to me. I mean, whatever you're going through, whatever problems you may have, when when it's time to start working, when the clock hits, I just put it in a mental box. I just focus on work, and then I get everything done, and then I go back to it. It's not like I ignore it completely, but I just try to not allow it to influence the way I work and the way I relate to anyone inside the office, because those are two very different worlds that are not necessarily meant to be together. And if they're together, not it's not necessarily the best thing to happen to you, because there's supposed to be limits there, so you can close the computer and enjoy life, or take care of your problems or whatever, and then be proficient, and then and deliver whatever you have to deliver at the job. So if you're able to put your to leave your problems at the door when you have to start working, it's becomes a bit easier, I guess.
Indeed. Yeah. It's something I think you develop that ability, I think, over time. It's probably not necessarily a natural thing,
No, absolutely.
but the more you do it,
Yeah,
the better you get at it. And yeah, you can make that distinction between your personal life and your work life.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the phrase work life balance. I don't think it's the same thing, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And in terms of um, worst career advice, have you ever had any bad career advice?
Not many, but I did have one, and it was actually when I started working when I had my first job offer. Back then, we didn't have like GitHub or any website or anything that would tell you how much it was okay for you to earn, or the industry standard or the market standard or whatever. So when I got my first job offer as a junior developer, it was underpaid, but I had no experience to also request any higher than that. And the advice I got was, don't take it. It's too low. And I think that was a bad advice, because if I had taken it, I would still be looking for my first job. I mean, when you're starting out, you have to bite the bullet. You have to say yes, get the experience. I mean, unless it's a terrible work environment or anything like that, but there is a price to pay, the entry price you have to pay somehow. If it's not going to be money, it's going to be something else, maybe your tasks, or something else. But um, you have to get the experience somehow, so that you can go to the next job offer and say, well, now I have like 6 years, 6 month experience, or a year experience. I'm not as junior as I used to be. I know a thing or two, and I have some leverage. But when you're getting started, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes, indeed. And if you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
Oof, if I had to start again, well, not again, but if I had to start today, definitely I would. I'm using Monday's paper essentially, but I would say that I would have a nice portfolio on GitHub. I think that super important. Like I said before, you don't have experience. How can you tell a company that you know what you're doing? uh, when I started out, it was my word, you know, against nothing. So I knew, I would tell them, I know this and this and that, and you have to believe me. Now there are ways for me to prove that, and so definitely I would try to create as many projects, essentially copy of other projects, code it my way, and had published them publicly on GitHub, to have something, to have something to show. I may not have like any actual work experience, but at least you can see that I'm able to close a project, to copy something that, an idea that someone else did, but I coded it myself. I can explain to you how it works. I can explain to you why I did what I did. So that's a huge plus, I think, when you're trying to get your first job. So that coupled with, a cheap or free personal site, where you can, add everything else you want to try to show, or show what you know how to do. That will be my go-to.
Good. Okay. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
Management, more management. I've been focusing on project management, and I want to go farther. I want to go program management. I want to go a bit higher than that. So essentially, always clearly around software development. I'm always, and ideally always around big data, because it's definitely the future. But yes, I'm trying to focus on that.
Right. Okay. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Well, coming from a published author is not going to be surprised, but but writing, that's, I mean, uh, I'm a firm believer that every single developer should have a blog. Not because they want to, become Twitter famous, or earn money through their writing or anything, but the constant act of trying to explain a complex concept through writing uh, helps you develop communication skills. The more you try to do it, the better you get at it, and the better you get at it, the more articulate you become when you start, you know, orally explaining things. And if you're able to explain something complex to a colleague, or to explain how you're going to implement something to your manager, then people are going to, look at you and say, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy knows what he's doing. If you can really, if you lack words, if you don't know how to explain, the algorithms you're going to implement, it's harder to believe that. So I definitely think that the writing practice is something that a lot of developers ignore, because we tend to be very technically driven, and we think of code instead of English words or whatever language you're using. um, so we think, no, I'm not good at writing, and you may not be, but you should get good at it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like any other skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And as you say, it's part of that whole communication group of skills, isn't it? Really, and being able to articulate is key.
And it works on all levels, because from a teammate perspective, everyone wants to work with someone who knows how to speak. If you I've met a ton of developers that are like, speaking to a computer. They're not capable of articulating, a conversation, because they're so focused on what they're doing and their code, that they start neglecting that social aspect of it. And if you're not, you don't have to be like an extrovert or anything. You don't have to be good at speaking with other people, but just the act of writing something, and keep doing it, and eventually, maybe, who knows, maybe you get someone reading it, and leaving you feedback, and you can improve on that as well. You start picking up new ways of saying things, new words, new expressions, and that translates to your in the way you communicate with others as well. So through technical writing, I think you can become a very very good speaker as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And what do you do to keep your own career energized?
I write.
Yeah.
I essentially, well, that's one of the things I do. I write articles every day. Since about a year, I started focusing a lot of on writing on Medium. So I write technical and non-technical articles there. That keeps me learning new things. Essentially, what I do on an overall to keep things energized is what I've been saying so far. I keep learning. As long as I'm learning, I'm happy. So what do I do to keep learning? I write about things I've never used before. I've written a lot about React, for instance. I'd never worked myself with React, but I learned a lot through that experience, through that process. Um, and back when I was actively developing, I would always try to find an interesting angle to tackle the task I had to do. If it's a new feature or anything, that's interesting because you get to develop something new. But sometimes it's just bug fixing or writing tests. So I would always try to find an interesting angle, an interesting way of implementing things to that I had never done before. So that's my way of you know keeping things interesting, I guess.
Yes. Yes. And what do you do in your spare time away from technology?
So essentially, I try to be as much with my family as I can. I have two kids and a wife, and I, given I have my 9 to 5, and I also write a lot, so I spend a lot of time in front of the computer. So whenever I got free time, I try to be with them. With the kids, we also try to have like a one week a night. We have not 1 week a night, one night a week. Sorry, we had like a gaming night where we just had a tabletop game and play for a few hours away from tablets, cell phones, computers, everything. So that's definitely a good disconnect. I'm also recently, like a month ago, I picked up archery. So a few times a week, I also go to range and shoot arrows essentially for a few hours.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
my son's good at that as well. So
yeah,
that's something he enjoys. Right, good. Okay. And Fernando, can you share with us a parting piece of career advice?
sure. Uh, it's the there is a huge taboo when it comes to googling for basic stuff. I had job interviews where they would ask me to solve complex solution problems without a computer, uh, and that's not realistic, and that also translates to a lot of gatekeeping around online gatekeeping around people laughing or being treated as non-dev because they have to ask basic questions like how to write a function, how to define a function, or how to write a for loop or whatever, because they just don't remember. And we all do that, and we couldn't be developers the way we are right now if we didn't have internet, we didn't have Google or Stack Overflow. So my uh, biggest career advice, other than learn to learn, is it's okay to Google. It's okay to ask silly questions and over and over and over again. We're not computers. We don't have a perfect memory, and you might be going through a lot of things that nobody knows. You don't have to remember how to write a function, how to declare a variable when that information is already available somewhere else. You just look it up, and it's perfectly fine to do so. So, uh, mm, I I mean, I look up things all the time. I'm not actively developing, every day, but when I did, I I googled things every day. If we had an internet outage for any reason at the company, we would just move around and start talking to each other because we couldn't keep working. It was that extreme. So
Good. Okay. I mean, yes, I think Google is every developer's best friend at times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And Fernando, where can we find out more about you and connect with you?
Google. Google my name. We're in the 21st century. You can find anything there. But if you want more direct access, you can. I'm really active on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is DeleteMan123. It's weird nickname I had. Well, it's not weird now that you know my origin story, essentially. But I got that I got that name back then on my first day of job. But yeah, Twitter is one of the main places, and just look for my name on Medium. I'm also active there. I'm publishing every week new articles. So if you're interested on that, check it out there. I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a slightly outdated website. I'm eventually going to get around to update, and the URL is fdoglio, which is my last name .com. F from Fernando, fdoglio, a single word .com.
Yeah. And before we finish, I've got to ask you about your latest book, Codes Well with Others. So I believe it's something that Manning are publishing at the moment. Can you maybe give us a bit of an overview or an insight into that?
Absolutely. So Code Well with Others is my love letter to the industry. It has essentially 18 years of experience, my 18 years of experience put in words, uh, from getting started into the software developer career, from what you actually need, instead of what people say you need to become a developer, to going through your first tech interview, what can you expect, what should you say, what shouldn't you say, to learning some of the basic concepts that most people neglect, like unit testing, or refactoring techniques that are not that common. Eventually, going all the way to what it means to lead a team, and being a good teammate. So that's kind of where the title comes from, coding well with others. Essentially, it gives you an overview of what your career is going to be. It's meant, and the full book is meant for someone just getting started, but there is insight there for people who have experience already, years of experience in the industry. So it's um, every single software developer who has already reviewed it, because like you said, it's already out. I mean, the first three chapters and the sixth chapter are already out on the Money Early Access program, and you can already read it, and you can already leave feedback. And we've gotten huge really good feedback, because a lot of people who has experience in the industry has read it, and they agree with the content. They say, well, I wish, a lot of people saying, I wish I had this book when I first started. So that's positive feedback. So we just need to get it in front of people actually getting started to help them. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I'm getting into industry can be easy, but it can also be really difficult if you bump into the wrong people. There's a lot of gatekeeping around, especially on social network, where there is no accountability. So this is me trying to give you the tools you need to avoid or ignore that gatekeeping, and you do what you want. Do you essentially, and move forward and become an actual software developer.
Great. Okay. Now, if anybody's interested in Fernando's book, there's a link on the show notes page for this particular episode. So if you want to visit that, you can just click through and take a look. Fernando, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure, honestly. Thank you so much.
Hi, Phil here again. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e and the number of the episode you've been listening to. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please make sure that you do, so that you get episodes automatically downloaded to your device every Monday. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.